Yeah.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, okay. All right, third time is the charm. Um, so, just like general system about ambiences, because there's a lot
Mhm.
of weathery things happening in Pacific Drive, because it's based in Pacific Northwest, which is where we live actually. So sometimes it's super sunny, sometimes it's stormy, and sometimes it's super windy. So like, how are the assets set up, and like, are they kind of like, yeah, how are they mixed?
Mhm. Yeah, so basically, the game at any point in time is just spitting out a billion parameters. So anything that we could measure with a number, we're spitting that out to the audio system for it to mix just a whole bunch of different stems at the same time. So, for example, there's a value 0 to 1 of how much precipitation is happening at a time, how heavy like the current rain is. There's time of day, and then I'd say the other sort of major one is what we call ecosystem. So like which like type of environment are you in right now? As you go further into the zone, you gradually move from like forest biomes into swampy biomes and even further. But also in those same maps, we'll have different zones designated as this is more of like a heavy forested area. This is a lighter forested area. This is like an open plains. So between all of those parameters, we're constantly fading in different layers. So if you're in heavy woods, we have a set of assets that give the heavy woods sound, and then depending on what time of day it is, we're going to gradually fade into something where birds are more active, for example, in the middle of the day. And then as you get later into night, we're going to fade those out and have more crickets come in. Um, and then that can all fade according to how much rain there is, and that will pull that layer down, bring up the layers of rain that can also change based on whether you're in the car. You're going to hear the rain that sounds like it's on the car. If you're inside a building, you're going to hear rain that sounds like it's hitting a building. So yeah, basically just taking as many vectors as we can of like describing what's going on right now, and just constantly fading between a whole bunch of different layers that builds up that whole thing.
Very cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in the chat mentioned that they really liked how the outdoor ambience and the sound of the rain and everything changed based on the doors opening and closing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a pretty interesting implementation, and when you first had implemented it, it just sort of like changed the whole perception of the game in that it wasn't just like two different ambiences that you're crossfading in between. There was actual like pathing and directionality of where sounds are coming from. If you want to speak on that a little bit more, that'd be great.
Yeah, basically the game is polling at all times, like how close to a doorway are you? So as you get close to a doorway, it starts to position the sound of the ambience from that location. So as you cross that threshold, it changes the sound of the mix from being just completely around you to now when you're inside, we're going to position it as if it's a specific location in the world. So all of a sudden, it's all the way around you to now it's coming from the exact position of the door. Then as you get further away from the door, it gets more and more positional. So then it sounds more like it's actually coming. The way that sound would work in the real world is that, it doesn't come through the walls the same way as it does an open door.
I thought I could go inside that building to demonstrate, but I can find another one. Okay.
Yeah, AJ, could I give a rough estimate of how many layers each scene or biome ambience consists of? So, for example, let's say forests in the middle of the day and it's raining a little bit. So the forest has 3 5.1 beds, one for day, one for twilight, and one for night. That it's always sort of fading between those. So usually we're only playing one of those at a time. We don't need to like be blending too many 5.1 layers at the same time. there's an additional layer of what we call scatter sounds. So these are little one-shot sounds that we position randomly around the player and play at random intervals. So these are things like birds that are off in the distance. These are weird, creepy sounds that are just meant to give like a little sense of ambience. So those are all firing off at different random rates in different random positions. So and those are also like adjusted by parameters, right? So like as we go into night, we're not going to hear the birds anymore. We're going to turn the rate of them playing all the way down. In terms of storm stuff, like just regular weather, I think there's maybe 5 layers of intensity of rain, and rain and wind combined. So like as precipitation goes up, we start to get like bit by bit like some more gusts of wind. We start to fade in the rain, a couple like intensities of rain. And then the rain can also be like, are there lots of leaves around or are there not? So usually that would be just one of those at a time. I think there's an additional layer for if there's fog as well. I think that's about all of them. So usually like the core is the one bed, the few scatters, and then like gradually ramping rain.
And there's also stuff like this. So this radiation has this kind of like singing sound, which I thought was really cool. Millie, do you want to talk about how you made this? I should probably not stand in it for too long, I guess.
I was using this player called Dust from Soundmorph, and I would just try different layers that sounded a bit grainy. Hold on. Is that better? Can you hear me better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I would just play around with a lot of different presets in Sound Dust and create different layers, and that's how I made it.
I did kind of want to talk about the garage more as well, but I didn't want to do that while it was raining so hard, so we can do that after, I guess.
Just before we move on from scatters, just some things that non-sound folks might not think about, but one of the things that I like about scatters, besides that they sort of like tell a story in the environment, is that they sort of anchor the soundscape that you're in to like a physical space. You'll notice when you were in the garage and there was thunder or something, and if you turned, there was directionality to where the thunder was coming from, and that directionality was maintained no matter like if you turned, it would pan across to wherever it was spawned from. And I don't know, I just feel like in games like this where you want to sort of build a world, having scatters and that kind of thing are very important to sort of give a sense of space and a sense of like things actually occurring in the environment outside of your immediate vicinity.
It also adds, I like to think of it as adding the feeling of everything being alive, because it triggers things at a random time. You can set the duration of the time and like a random spot.
Mm-hmm. And they're curated random, so it's not like you're going to hear a clown laughing or something like that, but like Murray said, we're designing these scatters to live in the environment and the biomes that are appropriate for them. And
All right. Yeah, that's a good note, Stephens. We can talk about the car radio positioning because it's kind of similar.
Do
yeah,
you want me to talk about that, or?
Yeah,
we've seen a lot of feedback online about that this is one of the like best games for getting the feeling of stepping into your car and listening to the radio, either in the rain or anything like that. And I tend to agree.
Yeah, when we first started on the project, there were a number of these sort of very broad parameters that were set up that I was able to leverage just in as many ways as I could. So one that was set up like right away was, are you inside the car or not? And then I basically took that parameter and applied it to almost every sound in the game. Will change just a little bit based on if you're inside the car or not.
We should maybe demo it once it stops raining, so we can't hear
Oh
it.
yeah.
That
It's the
rain-
Pacific Northwest. It's never
Yeah.
going to stop raining.
It's gonna rain no matter what.
It's a very good question, Ulysses. I would pose that over to some of the designers as well, but I think in general we wanted to really get a visceral, real feeling in the world, as well as like incorporating a lot of sort of weirdness into that. So I think we wanted to set a good baseline for like this feels real, this feels natural. So that we could then hit it with the unnatural bits to get a little bit more, to hit that weirdness of the zone. But I think somebody else might be able to
Yeah,
give
I
their
think-
interpretation of it.
I think Jamie and Millie were talking about this in a thread before, and it was a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest like philosophical like strategy that I had was like something Emmy told me really early on. So there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, Jamie, can you turn your
Oh, okay.
microphone
What
off?
is this?
Oh, the leeches.
Oh, the leeches.
There you go.
These
We can talk
leechy
about
sounds.
that.
Yeah, please.
So the leeches, for like all the anomalies, my philosophy was to make them sound like they were creatures that were alive but from another world. So to do that, I always incorporated like some voice element to it. And for the leeches, I got lucky and I got really, really sick and I lost my voice. So I recorded my voice like really. I had like this really double pitch going on in my voice. So the leeches are basically me with a sore throat squealing into the mic.
Here we go. Now we can hear stuff.
We call it lucky. If you're a sound designer and you get sick, that's a good opportunity for you to get some cool recordings.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
I'm
really
gonna
cool sounds.
Oh, are you gonna die, Em?
I have always been playing with cheats, and I haven't really learned to be cautious.
It's the
I
same
had to-
problem that I have.
Yeah, I mean, I had to turn on a bunch of accessibility stuff on.
Yeah.
Like when I played my game, I was like, I can't clear like one map.
Yeah,
there's so
actually,
much going
maybe
on.
for the purposes of this stream,
Yeah.
I should. Well, actually, it wouldn't be the worst if I died once. Maybe we'll allow that.
Sure. Yeah. We have sounds for death as well.
Ooh, although if we want to make it over to the swamp,
You better
Ooh.
cheat.
I should cheat.
You better cheat.
Let's see.
But yeah, I think general philosophy is like keep it organic and realistic, but with like a little twist of like, why does that sound like that? It sounds familiar, and like the tools are kind of like, yeah, I feel like I've seen that before, but they also have like different characteristics that the zone has, because like the zone itself, I feel like it's kind of like alive. It's interacting with you in real time. It's not just like a static environment that you're in. So I think I wanted to incorporate that, even like for some of the hazards especially. I added some like sneaky vocal tracks to add more personality. And like a lot of the UI sounds as well, I wanted them to be like more, like to have more personality, so that like us humans, we can subconsciously kind of understand, oh, that's that's like really, that doesn't sound not good, like something really bad's gonna happen, and I can tell from the sounds. And I think I think that was kind of like the philosophy of mine, like keep it organic but a little bit creepy, and a hint of like kind of alien-y, like unfamiliarness.
Hit the jump.
Hit the jump. Yeah, I've seen online people are like, so there are ramps like this, and there's like no benefit of going on to it, but everyone's going on it. And they were like, "Oh, let's go!"
Probably not enough speed.
Do you need more benefit than just having fun?
Oh, wait, are we stuck?
Yeah, we're stuck.
Oh shit!
I also am not healed.
We bottomed out.
But now we get
Oh.
to hear these warping sounds.
Whoa, teleport.
This rain is really harsh in the vibe.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the sounds.
Get out of here. Probably just gonna raid in the next one too, but maybe we should have done an earlier save.
It's really stormy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way it's set up is when you visit an area, when you go back to it, it's more intense. And
Oh,
the
I
save
didn't know that.
we
Okay.
are in is somewhere we have already traveled, but we can hear the radio now. Let's do it.
Mm.
Oh, this is the static track. That's something kind of cool. We were thinking about how to make it so players are not just constantly listening to the radio and like not paying attention to the world around them, which we think sounds pretty cool. So we added a looping static track that will randomly appear every once in a while. You can skip it, of course, but it also kind of gives
So, Lord Jesus says, I am your shepherd, you shall not want.
you. We also have
That's Psalm
audio
23,
logs.
then. 23, one of our ministries.
So we all got to record
And so he says,
these
I maketh you lie down in green pastures.
little snippets that are like people broadcasting from
Now,
within the
it's our
zone.
strength in the Lord, even when we are scared and lonely or hurt, that he will guide our bodies and keep.
Oh, here, perfect. Chord song. Okay, Murray, is there anything you wanted to say about the positioning now that we can hear it?
Yeah, so one thing that I added sort of late to the game was for a long time the radio just sort of was filtered based on how many car doors were open, but sort of right at the end I was able to add, it's like based on your position relative to which car doors are open. So you get the natural feeling of occlusion of like, if you're right next to an open door, you're going to hear it pretty clearly. But as you go to the other side of the car, it's going to sound like it's filtered out. But that doesn't apply to the reverb send for the world. So if the door is open, but you're in a reverberant space like one of the industrial sites, you'll still have like the full spectrum sound, like pumping the reverb. So it sounds like it's coming out of the car and like filling up the space. But in terms of like the direct sound, it still gets filtered by the shape of the car around the thing.
It sounds great. That little horn that we just heard was a scatter sound. So there's all these, Egan made most of these. They are all these like spooky and weird sounds that trigger randomly. And it's been really enjoyable to watch people react to those on the stream. Let's keep playing this.
We had another question in chat from AJ asking if any of us had a particular favorite sound that was added to the game, or if collectively we've established what the best sound in the game is.
Mine, I really like the radiation singing that Melanie did. I don't know if we had a collective. Maybe everyone can just say.
I really liked at the very beginning. There's like a huge moment when like the electricity, you get into the zone and then like there's something weird happening, and then it gets blackout, and then something really crazy happens, and like that happening at the very beginning like set a super like awesome tone of the game. Kind of creepy, kind of weird, kind of scary, and I think M made that portal sound like when we are getting sucked into the zone, and I really like that sound.
Yeah.
I even messaged M afterwards.
That sound I took inspiration from, I think it was Stranger Things, for that.
About the radiation M, I think it also had some vocals,
Oh yeah.
like some female vocals. That's why you really liked it.
Yeah.
Because I think
always
at
liked
first it didn't have any vocals, and then it started to get creepier and creepier, and then I added the vocals, and that's how it stayed in the game. They're
Yeah,
kinda like hidden
Andreas
everywhere.
is in the chat calling out Connor's storm warning sounds. So as the storm is about to close in, you have those like air raid sirens playing. It's
Oh, and there was
Yeah,
a
they're so
whole
good.
thing with that.
Oh yeah,
Where
there's a whole saga behind it. Yeah.
If you don't know this, you're not allowed to use any kind of air raid that sounds like an actual tornado warning in the US, I guess, at least. And we were very nervous about, we went through a whole process of making sure that it was like different enough. And yeah, I think Connor did a really great job. We'll probably hear it pretty soon. We've been in this area for a while.
I don't think I can call out my favorite one. I think it would be a bit of a spoiler. But there's some
Yeah.
sounds later on in the game that I found were particularly good.
One of my favorite little touches is that when you get in the car, there's the sound of you putting on your seatbelt. Like you can hear that little bit of Foley when you get into or get out of the car.
That's so fun.
Oh, I can actually. There is one thing that I do really like. If you turn on the windshield wipers and the windshield and it's not raining,
No, I hate
Oh yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
squeaky.
it gets a
The
little
squeaky
squeaky.
one.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I get
I
very
really like the
upset
car sounds.
when anyone in, like, I'm watching someone stream and it stopped raining and they just let this sound keep happening. So
Yeah,
getting in
the parameter for like is it raining or not boosts the sound of the windshield wipers by quite a bit. If it's not raining, we're gonna hear it like way more.
Yeah. And the getting in and out of the car is me actually getting in and out of my car.
Yeah, the timing also is really awesome.
M's real life car is basically the exact same station wagon that you see in this game.
Yeah, and has like a whole recording
Yeah.
session.
Yeah, so all of the UI, here I'll show some, like this and the key and these things are actually the levers, these buttons, levers and buttons on my car, which is pretty fun. Her name is
Actually, all of the engine work.
Oh,
and
there it
stuff-
is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So that's the first storm warning, which is
Mm-hmm.
the lesser.
Kind of like caution, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Joey, were you going to talk about how the engine is another car?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that briefly. Just when A Shell in the Pit came onto the game, after Egan had already been working on it for a bit. And Egan and the team had gone out on a recording trip with their vehicle and had cameras mounted all over it and got a lot of good engine recordings. I think at one point they were like jumping on it and smacking it with sticks as well. So they've got a fair amount of impacts and stuff that were used in the game. I think we might have supplemented it a little bit, but
Yeah, and that car looks exactly like the car in the game. I think it's Alex's
Yeah.
car. I don't know if we talked about this with the... Oh, I forgot to heal myself. Sorry. I don't know if we talked about this with the ambience, but there's also a day-night cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can hear crickets a little more. Can I heal myself in the settings? Or do I have to... I think it's because I turned it on when I was already pretty low.
Yeah, I find it really cool when you like bring up the menu, it became silent. And then you go back to the game. And you can tell how much, like how lush all the soundscape is, like with the ambiences and the car engine noise and like all the scatters. I find it really cool.
Yeah, that was originally kind of like something I'm often find myself wanting when I pause a game is to also pause the sound, just because it's like if I pause a game, I'm usually wanting to do something else. I think it's I don't know, just a kind of like a nice way to give your ears a break too. Yeah, other stuff we worked around, like the storm. We have a streamer safe mode for disabling copyrighted music. So right now there's a smaller pocket of songs on the radio that we can hear, but if it wasn't on, we would hear it more. What do you think? Should I allow myself to die and we can go back and talk about the garage, or should I keep trying to go into the swamp?
Up to you.
Yeah, if it's not too long before the storm shows up, it could be cool to just run into it headlong.
yeah, full send it into the storm.
Yeah.
Can you go,
Right
can you go
into the
find
storm.
an anchor? Or?
Oh, here's... Oh, there. We can hear Millie's reach screams. Millie's sickness.
In sickness and in health for sure.
Yeah.
There it is. That's how I sound when I'm sick.
Oh, I should probably have my... Oh, I do.
There's a lot of electricity too, and it was kind of challenging to
Same,
make
yeah.
electricity sound different for every
Mhm.
electrical part.
Yeah, that's so true.
You also did a really good job of like passing these sounds back and forth.
Oh my gosh.
And having
That
everything
poor
sound
car.
consistent.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sean, Jamie, and me were like, "Oh, those are really fun."
The spike
They look
pedals.
terrifying.
And they have little tiny voices too. So
Oh,
Oh, really? I want to
part of
hear
the
it.
Philosophy. It's like a little something. Like all the anomalies had some voice element to them.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
I need to find It's so dark.
How did we find out about the FCC stuff around the tornado warning? Was that something that we had in and got called out by legal,
I
or
think Jamie.
No, I was actually working on the sound before I went on to the vacation, and I was like working on it, and I couldn't really get the right siren sound, so I went on the field recording Slack, and just like randomly just found a thread that says like, yeah, you can't use like the real air raid sounds and stuff, and I asked a question there, and people were like, yeah, maybe, and then I just like did more research with M, and we found out that we couldn't use it. So, yeah.
so it's
It
maybe
was
like not
wild.
a well-known thing. I don't know.
No, I
There's
guess
probably
not,
games
yeah.
out there that probably do use the real one, but
Yeah.
I guess if it gets
yeah, yeah.
reported, then you.
Mhm. I think it's more of a big problem maybe for like TV shows and movies, because some of the articles that we found out about that specific thing was that like they got like fined. Some shows used like air raid sounds without knowing, and they got fined by like whatever organization. So we're like, oh, okay, we don't want to do that.
There's that new Twister movie coming out, the remake, or the reimagining, I guess. I wonder if they get special privileges to be allowed to do that, or if they have to design their own air raids. as
Yeah,
well.
wow. Not sure.
Oh, good. I have a battery generator.
There's a couple other questions in the chat. Murray's answered some of them, but we can talk about them a little bit.
And
There are a
it's
couple
also
different
good
states.
to repeat
ahead.
the questions for the recording as well.
Right.
Possible.
The question was, is there any sort of special consideration for the car landing from a substantial height or being upside down? The car can go in like a few different states. For example, being upside down is one of them. And as Murray said in the chat, there's a sort of like crushing metal car under stress loop that will play in those sort of scenarios.
Yeah, the highly technical term we came up with for that sound was a crunkle loop.
A crunkle.
Crunkle.
Loop.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then there's also like if you are running your car into something, there's a similar sort of loop that will play in that scenario. I designed a bunch of heavy impact sounds as well for sort of the bigger crashes and rollovers and landing if you've been tossed into the air.
Yeah, if you take a large enough hit and you're rolling, there's a unique sound of like the entire cab of the car like shaking and vibrating that continues until you've stopped crashing for long enough. And there's also some unique sounds for air rushing if you've got enough vert that you're airborne for a long enough time. You start to hear the wind blowing by you.
We also have a lot of tools in this game.
Yes. So yeah.
What are you
can
looking
hear-
for, M?
I want to fix my battery, but I can't. So I can see, but I can't.
While Em's working on that, there's another question that came up from composer Kirk, asking about some of the implementation choices that we used in Wise. Murray could probably speak to this a little bit. When did you decide to use a state
my
switch, an audio state versus a switch?
I mean, it's mostly a matter of scope. So, like, if something needs to be specific per item, that's when you would want to use a switch, as opposed to like a global condition that would be a state. Although, really, I've found more and more that like just using RTPCs on everything is best. RTPCs can be global. RTPCs can be used to drive switches. I mean, this is maybe getting a bit into the weeds, but yeah, states are tough because you always have to manage setting them back to a default state. You kind of have to have a way of like on a global scale making sure they always get back to default. Yeah, if I could go back, everything would be an RTPC. So state versus switch, I would say no. Neither.
Also, as you can hear, I first noticed that my wheels were messed up from the sound. So, sound does play a
Ooh.
pretty important part in giving you cues about your car. You can kind of hear the flappy rubber.
Oh my god, the flat tire sound, it was tough. All the tire sounds, with all the different like surfaces. There were a lot of assets that I worked on, but
I feel like we
The-
threw
the
you kind of
flat
into the
one.
deep end on those because you had
Yeah.
just sort of joined our team, and then we were like, we need all of these assets that are gonna take a while.
I'm like, I've never done this before.
I was
Jamie
gonna
And
say.
they're really hard to record.
The
luck.
flat tire sound actually, I tried so many different things. There's no good resources, like recording sources for flat tire, because like no one's gonna go out and like flat their tire, put it on their car, and potentially damage their car to get like a source, right? So what the trick I used is I used my glasses cleaner cloth, and I just slapped it on my desk. And I layered a ton of that, like lower the pitch and then like layered a ton of them. That's why they have the plop, 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 that kind of
Wow.
sounds. So that's the sound of it. Like it's not actual tires. I had to get
So
creative.
I really like your tires.
You've broken my
Yeah.
immersion completely, Jamie. Letting me
Sorry.
know.
I think I confessed it to you, Joey. One day I was like, Joey, help me! I can't make this. Joey actually helped me, and M too. Like I would get like kind of stuck in some stuff, and I would like go to them, like, please help me, and Joey and M would help, like, and give me some good ideas. Yeah, but flat tires, all glasses cleaner.
So funny.
I was actually kind of happy that she got assigned all the flat tires and tires, and I was like, oh, that's
And impact, you
glad
guys.
to-
The impact sounds were
So Jamie,
marathon.
how did you record the general tire like rolling sound?
Oh, it was just like a lot of processing. Like some sources, we got some tire and like car recording sources, but they were kind of noisy at times. So it was just like finding the right like area and then kind of like layering it differently so that it still gives enough like variation. But yeah, mostly just sources. I couldn't really like record anything on my own.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a ton of different surfaces that you can drive on, and I
Right.
think Jamie did all of them. So it's like different speeds that you're at, and the car tires interact differently on those surfaces.
So both my wheels are messed up and my battery's dead. So I don't have any.
What's going on, Em?
Because I have not.
Are you having fun?
I have not been gathering resources. I'm having a hard time like listening.
Well, at
to the
least you can't die.
That's a curse at this
Really?
point.
Really struggling here.
Okay, this game is not easy. I would say
No,
that.
it's not easy.
It's not.
Yeah, especially if you've been spending like 2-3 years playing with cheats and just
Yeah.
like getting so comfortable.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
all the
have saved
debug
hundreds of
menus, yeah.
hours with the debug menus. Okay, but maybe this will be enough. I think I can trigger the storm now. So once I fix my tires, if I can do that. I also wanted to say I should have not done it until we were there, but I don't know if anyone noticed
Oh.
the sound of. When I took the anchor from the base, it made a big sound, which Millie designed, and it also like ducks all the other sound in the game. 'Cause it's supposed to be this really important moment of taking the anchor away, like destabilizes the world. And I think that was you that made that sound, right, Millie? I thought you did.
I think so. I
Good job.
think I did all the anchors. Yeah. It's just library sounds designed.
Oh no!
Just easy. Just
Just,
library
you know,
sounds and
just
easy.
get-
yeah.
Make some metal sounds and put them together, and you'll get the anchor sound.
But like
eventually.
Millie says, it's so like nonchalantly, but like when you hear Millie's designs, it's like so like just full range of like really punchy, like awesome sounds. I find it like really funny, Millie, that you're like, yeah, just library sounds and some editing. Sound great.
Thank you, baby.
And did you put the anchor in the car, or did you drive away from it?
I put it in the car, yeah.
Oh, you put it in. Okay.
I'm just in a windstorm now.
That's so funny.
No.
Oh, really? We can't really tell because of the wind sounds.
Yeah, so this was a thing. Oh, and now there's the decision to make these wind sounds really loud was very on purpose. It's supposed to feel very overwhelming.
Yeah.
That was actually no.
Oh, rip! M, what? Where's your headlights?
They're dead. 'Cause I was
Oh. Whoa, where's our car? Roberta. That's my car's name. My car's name's Roberta. Where's Roberta? Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, car's gonna be mad at you for that.
I think I might just let myself die. I was really trying to exit
Aw.
the storm, but I can't drive into the storm with no wheels.
Right.
Let's just take a walk. Like a little hike.
Do I have a flashlight?
Oh my gosh. It's
Does
so
anyone
dark.
see it?
Yeah, you've got the little in the top left, the little navigation.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay. See, I had a warp into car.
You're getting further away from it.
Yeah. Older.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There.
Roberta.
Okay, let's craft a ceiling kit.
All right.
Oh, no. I don't have deck.
Yeah,
Okay.
car still isn't embarked.
Wait. Before we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, we can abandon trip, I guess.
Oh yeah, I guess I can do that instead of letting myself.
Yeah.
die.
Instead of- yeah. There it is. Someone in the chat asked, I have to know who made the sound of the player hitting their head with the trunk, and how did you do it? LOL, best sound.
Let's just demo that.
I actually didn't know that existed.
It's not a unique sound. It's just the generic hit sound.
Oh, like boom.
but yeah, you do take damage if you bonk your head with the.
Really?
trunk. Yeah.
That's so fun. I love that detail. Can I hear it?
Yeah. Wait, you do take damage?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
kind of funny.
okay.
Oh, we don't have a trunk. Oh, we don't have a trunk.
The other door.
Wait. We can go to the dumpster. We can go to
Oh.
the dumpster.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
load a.
Oh, sure.
Okay, fine.
You can go listen to the dumpster.
Yeah. So this dumpster, I think it's revamped by Connor. And people love the friendly dumpster.
Yeah. So Connor changed it to make it sound like, or added a layer. Jamie did the original sounds, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then Connor added a layer to make it sound like a.
Yeah, more personality. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a character.
Uh-huh. Dumpster doesn't have anything to spit out. Yeah. Oh.
A little bit closer.
Boom. So yeah, I guess we made a lot of generic impacts too. Hey, Murray, do you remember what kind of impacts we're playing just there?
There it's mostly just there's a sound for kind of like the Foley of touching the door. So anytime you like start interacting with the door, there's like the sound of it like actually closing or like hitting its like full open, like bouncing back there. But then there's also the sound of like just your hand touching it. So I think that's mostly what we're hearing there.
And yeah, there was a lot of tools and a lot of stations to cover. Most of these have head loop tail, which means like a sound for when it starts and stops, and then for when you hold it down, it loops.
And then a lot of them also have layers of, are you interacting with the correct thing? So if you're just using the blowtorch at nothing, it sounds one particular way. If you're using it on something and you're actively healing it, it sounds slightly different. Or if you're using it on something that's fully healed and you're having no effect, it changes the sound slightly again.
Yes. And yeah, Andreas commented there's lots of surface impacts. Let's see if I have another pry bar here to demonstrate that. I also really enjoy the crafting sounds. There are different sounds for whether you're crafting resource or you can't craft at all, or like a dependency. So sometimes you need to craft something else before crafting another thing, and there's like a sound to help you figure that out. Which one?
Yeah, I think a lot of UI sounds also, we try to make it somewhat sci-fi sounding but not too modern, because the UI, like the aesthetic of it is kind of vintage-ish, and like we have a little bit of like pixel art kind of stuff. So yeah, all the new UI sounds suggest that it's like still sci-fi and kind of computery, but it's not like ultra modern like spaceship kind of sci-fi.
Right. I also did a lot of UI sound, and I
Mhm.
focus on like making more analog and vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
These
like
ones,
really.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one I worked.
Maybe we can go to a friend.
Substatica is asking if there's any sounds specific to car quirks, and that I don't believe there are. I think we left that mostly just to like whatever the actions of the car actually are. We didn't really want to interfere with like either like giving away that the quirk exists or sort of like interfering with the understanding of like what quirk you might have. So like if you're turning on the headlights and it makes the horn honk, you're gonna hear just those literal things.
There is some like glitchy electronic stuff
Mhm.
for like if your steering is getting swapped and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you're in a malfunction.
But that's not
hazard.
specific just to
Mm-hmm. The chords, yeah.
quirks.
Yeah. And then we also have like quirk station sounds, like what I just showed. Other stations are cool. I could repair it. Try this. And this is only like a fraction of all the stations. They all have.
Yeah, I like the
sounds.
cosmetic printer sound.
Substatica, were there any guilty pleasure type sounds that you kind of wanted to include but would never fly and probably wouldn't have fit the game style? I'm happy to report that I did in fact sneak a sound into the game. And if you go over to the regeneration station and if you kick the piano,
Oh yeah.
if you look at the keys and you hit F to, there's some distorted roads sound. So yeah, that's my thing that my guilty pleasure sound that I'm like, I need to have this, and just snuck it in there.
Love it. Oh yeah, the cosmetic. Oops. Oh,
Whoa, that's cool.
that was an accident. I keep pressing the wrong buttons. Install. Yeah, I like the zoom in and out of the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the stations have a separate like open and close sound as well.
Stefan is asking about the voice acting. I don't know about Car Talk specifically being an inspiration for it. I know there was some sort of NPR related interview that is in the game that definitely feels like it was inspired by NPR. But yeah, we weren't present in the recording studio for that stuff and the direction on it. We did do the processing, and Murray can probably talk a little bit about how that processing changes whether you're in the car versus when you get out of the car. A lot of the story elements we wanted to be persistent if you're in the car or outside of the car, so that you're not missing any of the story if you're exploring around the zone on your own or if you're inside the car. But we did want to give it a bit of a vibe of that it's coming through your car radio or it's coming through a little speaker in your ears.
Yeah, and Bryson did a ton of work making those more NPR-ish sections very unique, because there's a lot of different like kinds of perspective in those, like the person's in the recording booth, or they're using like legacy like recordings of like old political speeches, or they're going out and interviewing people, and each of them is processed to sound that way.
There's also some scenes, I won't get into too spoily, in the main story where the microphones that the characters are using are picking up sounds from their environment. And that kind of stuff also had to go through the same sort of processing chains that Bryson had set up, sort of to give you that perspective of these things are happening somewhere else, where these other people are.
Yeah. For the tools, I really like when we pick it up, we hear. So, like for the physics sounds, the collisions, we have 2 intensities. And when we pick up the tools, it plays the softer intensities. And it kind of like still gives like the feel of the tool. I think that was such a brilliant idea. Was that like intentional, Murray?
Yeah, so I was able to repurpose like the general physics sound of like the object clunking around on the ground, and like you can throw objects at different forces, so that's where the higher intensity sound comes along. And I was able to just dial down like what intensity of physics sound do we want to play when we grab the thing. We dial it. It's not the whole way like the as loud as it can possibly be. It is just like, what if you're like grabbing it firmly, and then also it's just positioned to be 2D instead of like spatialized in the world, just to make it nice and close and like sell the body of the object.
Yeah, I think those kinds of decisions that were made were very pragmatic, and I think did well for allowing us to really like focus on like the scope of other things rather than having all of our bandwidth being taken up with like all of these like unique corner case interactions that can happen and things. We were able to share lots of assets across a wider variety of things. It was basically sort of an approach of, is it going to work if we share this? Anytime something new came up, it was sort of like, let's see what we have and what will work for that, rather than designing like a full new suite of things, or if there's a new interaction that can happen.
There are also a lot of bespoke Like
There
all the
is a lot.
resources, all the resources have separate sounds
Mhm.
for, you know, because the wind. But,
The wind.
but they're all separate.
Yeah, I went through like a whole recording session, multiple days of like finding household items and just like drop, drop, and then like hit.
Me too.
Lots of editing.
Yeah, so many metal.
Yeah, oh my
there,
god, metals
yeah.
are so, yeah, so
Yeah.
tricky.
What about items that can roll? Oh, I guess we didn't really do that in this one. No, I'm thinking of different games, but
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just get a couple more tools, and we'll head out to a more forgiving area.
Is there any forgiving area? I'm serious. I'm still stuck in the
I think
first
you've
map.
just cursed yourself by saying that.
Uh-oh.
I really like the rubber. The
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
in the inventory is the rubber dog.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really cute. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like cool details in this
Right.
game. Yeah, even this electrician's kit, it looks so like makeshift, but like very creative.
Okay. I haven't really thought about this too hard.
We can just try it.
I got more stuff, so better than last time at least.
Oh yeah, the car dashboard, like there's so much going on.
Yeah. Oh, wait, let me get it.
Little Tamagotchi. Yeah.
Oh, I only have one headlight. Ah, whatever.
One is better than nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I also really like the sounds Jamie made for entering portals. We'll just show the portal ones. But for example, that sound to like show that you're leaving your home,
Mm-hmm.
I really like.
Yeah, M's direction on it was like, let's try to make it kind of sound like the zone is sucking you in, and like you're like getting like sucked into like an adventure. So that was the inspiration behind it.
Did you end up
I have to
using?
say
Oh yeah, go ahead.
that M's direction and Joey's direction for like describing what you needed to do was like smack on. It was like so hard to imagine from just the animation what you needed to do, but with your descriptions it really helped.
Yeah, totally.
And your feedback, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Millie. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always felt like you guys were so sure about like how things, like, you know, how like you are imagining, how did that happen? Like I think I like still to this day that's kind of a mystery for me. Like every time I went to you guys, whenever I had any questions, you always had answers. Whoop. Maybe not for driving so much.
I'm glad it felt that way because a lot of the time it was like, you know what? Just this is how I think.
Yeah.
um,
It's really hard to find the balance as an audio
Yeah.
director for like, you don't want to spend too long on any particular sound. You want to get the game done, but like making it cohesive. I don't know. It kind of just worked out that
yeah.
Joey
I think
and I were on
we
the
did a
same
lot more
page.
directing a lot more directing at the beginning of the project when we're sort of establishing what sort of aesthetic the designers should be working towards. And beyond that, like, you guys made a lot more decisions than I think we did.
Yeah.
It was basically us just signing off on things, especially near the end.
Ooh, this guy. Who
Oh,
made
that
sounds
was-
for this one? Was it you, Millie?
That was me, yeah.
Yeah, Millie did most of the hazards. Not all
Hazards,
of them,
yeah.
but most.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like the voice.
I think it's like a combo of walrus, seal,
Oh.
and some gooey stuff from like slimy and gooey stuff.
Amazing. Thank you, composer Kirk.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now we can hear this. Listen to the sound when we remove it. It's pretty nice.
Whoa, what?
Wow.
Hello?
Oh wow.
What is happening?
The world is angry that I took me.
Uh-oh.
I think the mix was like a lot of trying to balance.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
what sounds need to be big. Spent a long time like adjusting the fall off of things, like how long you should before that guy floats away. Should you still hear him or it? And like you didn't want things to be able to be heard from too far away because voices, and also just like we didn't want anyone to feel overwhelmed, too overwhelmed with sound.
Too overwhelmed.
Yeah, a little overwhelmed.
Just a little. Little whelmed.
But there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
Mary
it's-
also set up a lot of like automated stuff for that.
It's a tricky thing with procedural game design where any two things can happen at the same time, and things can happen in any quantity. Where we there's times in the game where like where you have one bunny on the car, or maybe a swarm of 10 of them are coming at your car at the same time, and you need to still be able to hear clearly like what's happening around you. So yeah, there's a lot of voice management to make sure that if there's a huge amount of electricity around you, you're here, like you want to be able to hear it directionally, like in the world, but you don't want to like blow out the speakers with all of the electricity. So you need to like balance like how many can we possibly hear at the same time versus like how do we make sure the information is still communicated.
You have a lot of self-control, Em.
Yeah.
I see a jump, and I gotta go over the jump.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't want to spend too much time taking care of the car.
Yeah.
Because I want to. I think I'll run the storm now. Are we ready? Do some more cool UI. I think. Oh, this is double storm.
Yeah, this
That's
one was
cool.
fun to make. I think this might be my favorite sound that I made. Very proud of it.
The storm starting.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, the whole sequence.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of like mix troubles and decisions, mixing the storm was extremely challenging because
Yeah, wow. I don't know. I don't understand how you guys did that.
Yeah.
Substatica, we'll answer that question in a second once we've gone through the storm, but short answer is yes, there are. But we talked about it a bit earlier with the scatter sounds, that there are sounds within the environment that don't have a particular source, and they're just meant to add sort of a creepy vibe.
So there's a cool sound when the storm like attached to this wall that you can hear as it approaches, and then also when it overtakes you. I love these visuals.
Yeah, they're so
Yeah.
cool. And it's like they're beautiful but very stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, it's coming.
So then, as you can hear, this music kicks in. And we wanted to balance the music with the sound of the storm and opted to prioritize the music because it gives pretty cool feeling of intensity.
Honestly though, these logs kind of like seem coming out of nowhere. So I don't blame you.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't hear this track if you had the radio on? Oh, I mean, you mean you didn't enter the circle. Yeah, it is a circle of death. Look at my car. It's not something you want to be in.
Yeah, you're doing a good job if you have never been in here before.
There's Jamie's stuck to the portal sound.
Yeah, kind of similar idea to like getting sucked into the portal.
But my, what's this? Are you learning a thing or two?
My dear newbie, there's hope for you yet.
So there, I just demonstrated the difference between you could hear it on the car speakers versus your portals.
4 Mile Stream was just commenting on the environmental scatters and saying that somebody on their stream had told them that the background sounds hinted at a state of the game's RNG luck state. I don't know. I don't want to ruin anybody's take on it. Maybe. Maybe that's a thing. I won't say that it definitely isn't, but
A little spice coming in.
I don't know for sure that it does. I'll say that.
Maurice biting their tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, just mute. I'm just gonna stay mute.
I will say that both are random.
Okay, let's fix my lights. Wait, I think I just...
Is there like what was the most challenging sound that you had to do?
I have the.
I have several.
I think Joy knows like my challenge. I revised multiple times for the first aid sound.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Actually, M gave me the tip to record my own voice, like 1 melody for the hazard, and that it seemed to work. but like somehow my voice is too creepy. So when we review the sound, I say to Em like, "Hey Em, I think it's too scary," and Em also like agree. So I added another layer has the airy, like soft airy creature breathing. Yeah, I like the final version now, but it was really hard to get into that stage. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was an
It was-
important sound too. Like
Right.
whenever it's a
Yeah.
sound, sometimes we just let things go if they're not quite right. But when it's an important sound, like you hear that sound all the time, you really have to keep
Right.
working at it.
Yeah. Has to be a little like organic and has the creepy feeling as well. So it was a little bit difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then it's gotta be positive because you're getting healed from
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mine
think
was
that
the
was
car.
probably
Oh, sorry.
probably one of the more challenging things to direct as well, because there's, with all of the hazards and stuff, there's always some sort of like physical thing that's happening with them that you can sort of see and the effects of. Where the healing, it's just like an on-screen effect, and your health goes up. So like we kind of have to tell the story entirely with audio about like what mechanically is happening, and we can't just be like sort of hand wavy, it's magic. I mean, we are in the end doing hand wavy, it's magic, but we have to be a little bit more direct with what it is, and I think Xian got there in the end. It sounds really good.
Yay.
Yay. What was your difficult sound, Jamie?
Mine was car horn sound, and like to spare you some time, I literally quit. Like I spent so many hours on it, and like I tried everything I could. I asked for so many help, and like I spent so many hours. I just couldn't get it at the end, so I was like, Joey, I'm gonna like die right now. Can you please take it over? Take over for me.
Actually,
Yeah.
I ended up doing the
Oh really? Okay, what was your trick?
So I think this is a pretty good example of like sometimes you can spend so long on a sound and like looking in libraries and just trying to work with it when like recording is really the
Yeah, that's
way
so
to
true.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Should I try this?
Yeah, I just didn't have the courage to like honk out
Well,
of my
so that's like the
like,
funny
and then,
thing.
like-
It took me a long time because I was waiting until I could like be somewhere where no one was gonna hear me. So
Oh.
it was actually on the way back from the cabin, which is in Manning Park.
Oh, that's perfect.
And
Yeah.
it was like in the middle of the highway when no one was around. I just like stopped, pulled the car over on the side of the road and just like laid on the horn.
It sounds perfect. Yeah.
so,
Car
the
horns are so
horn-
tricky.
The
Yeah.
horn is also build-up.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. For me,
What about you, Millie? Yeah.
I think the leeches moving, like rolling, were the hardest. I couldn't get it right because I wasn't sure how heavy they had to be or how light they had to be. So I had to like go through many revisions to get it right and to get it like to sound that it was rolling and moving. Yeah, I think that one.
Yeah.
Can't think
that's
of.
so cool.
The anchors were scary. I wasn't sure what to do with the anchors because they looked really, really cool and glowy, and they had like there's 3 different colors. I'm not spoiling, right?
There's 3 different colors. New information for me.
Is that still in
I don't
date?
think it's a spoiler, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Don't say too much.
yeah.
about
Good
it.
anticipation.
Just the background.
Yeah.
Getting them to sound different
Yeah.
was kind of tricky. I'm not gonna say more because we haven't seen the rest.
Also, thank you to everyone who's been following. I'm hearing the Twitch sound
Yeah.
effects, and I'm so concentrated at the game that I can't be looking at the Twitch as well. But I don't know. Do you see the notifications pop up? Does anyone else see those?
Yeah.
Maybe just read who it was when it happens. I think that's what you're supposed to do on Twitch.
Oh, I'm not seeing. Sorry, the follow notifications. Sorry, no, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
those.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm hearing them, and I thank you. Whoever you are.
We thank you.
We're audio professionals. No streamers.
Yeah.
No streamers.
Yeah. Fun fact: this is our first stream. Like we streamed.
Yeah,
playing
official.
Some fun games, but this is our first like actual stream. So I hope you're enjoying it. We're hoping to do
Yeah.
more like this on games we've worked on. Where's my?
Murray, was there anything you found particularly challenging to sort out with the technical?
I'm trying to think if there's anything that took particularly long or had like particular revisions to it. Nothing's super coming to mind right now. I think it was most like for this game it was mostly like the breadth of stuff. There was a lot of stuff to get through. I don't think anything in particular was too crazy in terms of implementation, but yeah, just getting through everything was mostly the hurdle.
I can't make. Yeah, there was a lot technically. You did a lot. Maria did an incredible amount of work on this game that I think really shows when you listen to it and it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can't have. Wait, where'd it go? Where did the blue touch go?
4 Mile Stream also asks, what would you say as a group was the ratio of original recording material to pre-recorded assets in the game?
I think the ratio is pretty hard to determine, but there's a lot of recorded.
There's a
I
lot
think,
of recording, like
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
the like physical interactions and stuff. I think are mostly recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Almost
think
100%, I would say.
Right. I record most of sound for impactable object. Yeah.
Yeah. The car itself, like the engine, is I would say probably 75, 80% all recorded.
Yeah, I also record a bunch for hazards and anomalies,
I like
but
this.
not. I mean, I would say like 50%.
Yeah, I would say there's a pretty high ratio. I would like now that I'm thinking about the things that was recorded, pretty high ratio of original recordings to library sounds. That's not to say that we didn't use a lot of library sounds. There are definitely a lot of library sounds, but there's a lot of sounds in the game.
There's a lot of sounds in the game.
Yeah, and like for the assets that we used voices for too, like they're like that kind of thing is technically a recording as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did like about 3.5 gigabytes of source recording, for PD.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Even the sounds that were designed using like majority library sounds often would have a recorded vocal element or something like that in it that was adjusting it to not be like a 100% library sourced sound.
I think for the next round, I'm gonna just get my car health.
Are we gonna be invincible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, here, card image. Off. And Substatica also asked, was there a release crunch? And in terms of design, I think we finished design at a pretty early on in comparison to like getting everything in, but there was like a fair amount of technical work that Murray and Andreas were getting in up until the last moment. Murray, do you remember what the last sound in was?
I was actually just going back through the change logs to see if there was anything that stood out as the final sound. I mean, we're a no crunch studio, so we always make sure that we're like planned out pretty well in advance, that we're gonna touch down on release date and not be super stressed about it. So the sound design for the game was done pretty well before we were trying to wrap things up. It was mostly just like bug fixes towards the end. And yeah, the stuff that I'm finding that are like the last sounds in are just like very minor kind of detail things that were added late. Like I think it's like the magnetizer station, if you use it incorrectly, there's a sound to tell you that you have not used it right. I think that's the last sound that went in.
Yeah, actually, it may be a good opportunity to talk a bit about the studio too. Like, being a no crunch studio means that we all have we have flexible work hours, so we can work any days, but most of us work around 9 to 5, and then we also have a 4-day work week, which is pretty cool. And I don't think it interfered with the development, especially being such a big team and like having Joey or I that we could swap in and out of.
And we worked on the game for like a pretty long time. We were brought onto the project fairly early in development. So it wasn't one of those things where we were trying to catch up with development. We were sort of working in tandem
Yeah, we can be pretty
with things as they were being developed.
I know Ironwood also has like some really good policies and like work-life balance at the studio. We're always drawn to working with studios that are kind of like people
Have a
focused.
similar philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, can you run into those barrels?
So yeah, there's a lot of
Nice.
crashable objects. A lot of crashable objects. This cloud is a malfunction cloud, and it like it also messes with the radio, which was another choice to make it so like if you forget to turn the radio on or if you forget to turn it off, it's kind of just like away.
M's like, I'm not taking damage.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
see.
just run into everything.
Now I can really show you the sound.
Oh yeah.
That's why I did that.
Oh,
Ooh,
neat. Oh, that sounds so
It's
good.
a happy
it's
loop,
the happy
right?
trailer.
Aww.
It's a healing one.
Oh,
So yeah, everyone
I guess
apparently
they're called bunnies in the release, right?
Bunnies.
Oh, those are the bunnies. I'm like,
True.
where are the bunnies?
Oh,
There's a happy hair. Yeah, sorry for
I'm like,
glorification.
that's not a bunny. Yeah.
not at all.
Doesn't look like a bunny. It's
So
interesting.
Oh, it
I
sounds
remember
so
we
good.
We had a revision with this one because we wanted it specifically to sound positive so that people would be able to know that it's not damaging your car.
Mm-hmm.
I think you did a great job of that. It sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh,
But it's-
I had to
Oh,
check
the
out my
pickup
voice.
sound!
Okay, here's the rolling sound.
Yeah, they're rolling.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's tough. Sounds good though.
It does. It sounds great. Sorry, I'm just beating up this. Oh, thank you for saying it. Sounds friendly.
Oh, thank you.
And would you say that you would deliberately drive around the Pacific Northwest, trying to sort of get inspiration for what it felt like to drive around here, and use that
Yeah.
inspiration in the game?
I kind of do that a lot already. I do a lot of camping, and we drive on like dirt roads, and yeah, I was definitely thinking about that a lot, and like just listening to a lot of the sounds.
Hmm. I
That
do a lot
help-
of hiking in the Pacific Northwest as well, which I found also helped. And then whenever I was just driving specifically, I found myself like being very cognizant of like how the engine and sound and the road sounds. Um, it wasn't a
Yeah.
one-to-one for me though, because I drive a hybrid, so it was a little bit different. I imagine M had a bit more of a one-to-one comparison.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even aside from the sounds, I have so many things happen like with my car. Like there's this one thing, I forget if it's a quirk, but there's something that makes your car like lean left. Actually, I think it's something to do with the tires. And like my car was actually doing that for a while, and like whenever that happens in the game, I don't know, it just feels so realistic and great to have those comparisons. And yeah, in terms of the sound, there was a lot of like trying to pay attention to like how it sounds in the rain. But I think for a lot of us, a lot of those sounds are so like it happens so much that it's like a feeling that it gives you almost.
Mm-hmm.
We touched on it earlier that a lot of the engine work had already been done by Egan when we had come onto the game. So there wasn't a whole lot that we could do to touch it. We were able to mix it a little bit more, and we did end up adding a few layers to the engines, and then there's an electric engine that you can get. I don't know if it's a spoiler. There's a few different engine types that you can put into the car, and we did do some work on that. Based on the scope, we did a lot of that using just processing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's entirely just processing the original sound.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot
So
of.
we would remove some things like the exhaust, for example, on the electric. It gets the exhaust sort of gets muted, and then we do some special stuff with processing. Flange.
Do you wanna,
I
like,
don't remember
touch on
exactly.
how many layers there are in the card, like in the driving? There's a lot.
Sure.
Like-
Yeah, there is a lot. And this was also something that I found kind of challenging when I came onto it, is that everybody sort of has their own way of implementing car engines. And I wouldn't say there's an exact science to how it should be done. So when we came on, we kind of had to live with what decisions Egan had made. And they were good decisions. In the end, everything worked, but it was just trying to figure out, okay,
Yeah,
how is the
understand.
sound being played, and where is it being played from, and how's it being affected?
Yeah, when you have any complicated sound implementation like that, you really just see the person's brain like splayed out on it's like you gotta learn a person's soul to learn their implementation.
Yeah. And when we were working on it, Egan was no longer working on the project, so it wasn't like I could go pick his brain on how things were working. I did a lot of talking with Murray and trying to figure out, okay, how is this working? As somebody who's not particularly technical in Unreal Engine work, it was a bit of a challenge, but once everything sort of became clear to me, mixing it wasn't actually so bad. It was quite fun.
It really.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from we mentioned that Irwin and Egan had done that large field recording session of recording Alex's car, and they had a lot of different microphones and a lot of different perspectives. So I think like one of the major benefits of this particular implementation is that you can really hear the difference between like the engine of the car versus the exhaust, and then there's another layer of interior, and then how those get positioned more when you're outside the car, and then they become more flat when you're inside the car.
Yeah.
Or if you have like the hood open, or if there's
Yeah.
like steam coming out of the hood.
Yeah,
and
all the different states.
all the different things that can happen to the car.
Oh, free ride.
Oh, but I'm in part.
Yeah, so you can just hear the tires skidding along. as your
Oh,
car.
that's cool.
Is the car wait?
I am an hour later than you folks, so I think it is time for me to head off and get some food in my belly.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Thanks
course.
for joining, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Do you think we could get Andreas in here now, or is that
Yeah.
going to be too hard to
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
get
I
him in here?
can... Yeah, I think so. Andreas, are you around? Say something in the chat if you are still there. Also, the sound when you like try to drive, but you're in park. It's good. All those details. There's just I don't know. There's innumerable.
Whee! That's so fast. Oh my god.
Andreas doesn't have his mic set up anymore.
But if you get it set up, give us a
Yeah.
ping and join.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Oh, here, wait. I'll give you the socials. Actually, no, can someone put the team website in? The socials of the team are all, if you go to our website and click on each of our characters, that has our characters. Also, I added them to the tweets of the stream if someone could post that too.
Ooh, perf.
That's probably maybe easier. But there's our website if you want to see. We have 16 people full-time. So not everyone working as a drive. We have quite a few games on the go. Are there any games that any of you are working on right now that you could talk about? If anyone's interested in following us on other projects.
No.
I don't think any of them I can talk about.
Really?
You can
I
go.
don't
You can
think
go if you go to
so.
the website. You can see all of the games we have worked on, and they will show who worked on what. But
Let me
what can we talk about?
There's gonna be a demo of a game I'm working on, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say which game. At GDC.
I'm working on a couple I can talk about. Big Walk, from the developers of Taylor Gusti, House House, and Beastie Ball.
We have a question actually. 4 Mile Stream. Wait, each of you works on multiple games at a time, or does the studio work on multiple projects simultaneously?
Both, yeah.
Both. Both statements are true.
Yeah, as a studio, we work on lots of different projects all at once, and we sort of allocate team members' bandwidth across those projects. So some people could be directing multiple projects or designing on multiple projects, depending on the needs of the project. It could be that somebody is just designing and directing a single project at a time. It's really just sort of the scopes and what our bandwidth is. Yeah, it still works with no crunch for 4 Mile Stream. They're just trying to figure out how we don't work with crunch, but we work on so much. I think what it is that we try to get into projects early enough that we are able to plan things out a little bit better. We try to avoid projects that are bringing us on last minute and need a whole lot, and focus more on projects that and teams that are able to plan out their development a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think we communicate that pretty early on as well. We, like if you have like a certain deadline that you want us to meet, then we would need like appropriate amount of like work coming in like ready for us to work on, so that we don't have to like super last minute crunch. And I think unfortunately that happens quite a bit in like for game audio, from what I hear, because audio tends to be in the last, like at the end of the pipeline. But we definitely try to avoid that and like try to communicate that with our clients as much as possible. And I think so far it's been working really well, and that's how we can get more invested in the project and spend a little more time and like at the same pace as the main devs. So yeah.
As speaking as somebody who has worked in sort of those crunch scenarios, where you're getting brought on at the end, it is really nice in this studio that we are working with people so early in development, and I think a lot of our clients appreciate it as well, because you can get a lot of good ideas from audio in terms of things that can be built into the world. There are definitely some projects that we're working on now where we are influencing the visuals as much as the visuals are influencing us in some cases. And being able to sort of work in tandem with designers towards a goal and sort of syncing up on that is pretty fun and interesting.
That felt like it happened a bunch on Pacific Drive too. Like I would say we worked pretty in tandem for most things. We'd have to sometimes update sounds if visuals were updated.
And we're also a pretty big team, so if like somebody is too busy with too much work, you can always bring someone else from the team in to help out. So it always works.
Yeah, our team is at a good size where we do feel busy most of the time, but it never feels like overwhelming.
Oh, got it.
What is that?
So this is, I think, Millie, you did these too, right? These like...
The electric... what is that?
It's
like a little ball.
I think that was Xion. Wasn't that you, Xion? It was either me or Xion.
No,
probably. If it's shiny and hazardous. Yeah, it did not look like that when I did it, for sure.
So yeah.
I'm not
there's an
sure.
example of
I'm not really
needing to
sure.
update.
Me too.
Well, it's like a kind of like a. Well, it could be seen. Oh god, no.
If you know the name, I can
Oh
look
no!
up.
Me too, if I know the name.
Yeah.
Don't fall down the hill.
Yeah, I think this is pretty common for us too. Like, there's so many assets that we worked on for this game. So sometimes we're like, did I work on that? I have to like kind of go back and
Right,
like
and
backtrack it. Yeah.
Multiple designer work together, so
Yeah,
it's confused,
true.
like, did I work for this or not?
Yeah.
I wanted to show running into it, but I fell down the hill. But that was an example of something that like we didn't want to sound too negative, because it's not necessarily just bad. It's like if you run into it, it's like a little boost. So the sound is cool. You'll never hear it now. You'll have to play the game.
4 Mile Stream has another question. Was there ever an aspect of audio design where you had to start over from scratch? Yes, absolutely.
The horn.
Yep.
being one.
The horn,
Always.
for example. There was also some things that like when they're early in development, we just sort of make like just this like proxy sound basically for the thing when the mechanics of it are still working out. For example, the pry bar early in development was like this weird just gray box, and it was called lockpick. And I think we designed some like lockpicking sounds for it. But later on in development, it turned into the pry bar. And for a long time, it still had like the lockpicking sounds on it, and it just it didn't make sense. And again, this is the thing about just how broad the scope of this game is that sometimes things can go under without being noticed for like a long time, just because like somebody will notice it and be like, oh, it's probably being worked on by somebody, when really nobody has sort of taken a claim for it, and then eventually it'll get called out and go, oh yeah, we got to change that.
But the team Ironwood was really good at like paying attention to sound and calling
Yeah.
out things, which was really nice.
Yeah, they were invested in audio, which is very nice when you work with a client that really cares about what you're adding and bringing to the table.
Yeah, and they will also like give us positive feedback often too. Like, oh, I noticed this like windshield wiper, squeaky sound. Like we love it, and that kind of like makes me happy.
Yeah, this is one of the games
Makes us happy.
I've noticed like more than any game I've worked on where people are noticing the sound like more than usual, which is like really gratifying. Also, hi Alexis. Alexis is muscling in the chat and is one of the developers of BC Ball. Also,
We got another question from Substatica. Like Substatica. With that in mind, what was the best sound left on the cutting room floor? Do you remember any? Oh, I have one. We briefly mentioned earlier that we like kind of ditched the rolling sound of some objects, and there was like a big metal barrel that was sort of like empty, sort of like, but like it was heavy. Oh yeah, that one. And like I made the impact and like rolling sounds, but I think it got scrapped at the end.
Was that the pearl?
No, just like a regular
sound.
metal barrel.
Oh, this thing.
Yeah,
This
rolling
barrel.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the technical overhead on making that roll was, I think, just a little outside of the scope of what we were doing.
Mhm.
yeah, Forma, that was a big part of it. Yeah, we didn't want to make all the hazards feel evil or anything because they're just there. They're just doing their thing, you know. They're meant to be like, we want you to notice them, but we didn't want you to be too alarmed by them. I think.
There is something that I want to talk about, but I don't know. It's not spoilery, but it is kind of like nice to figure out on your own. There was these like sort of energy ghosts. Can we talk about that, Em?
I mean,
Energy ghosts?
yeah, I
I
think
don't
so.
know I don't know if anybody else on the team talked about it. I think it was mostly just Em, myself, and I think Andreas hooked them up.
What are they
Um,
called? Energy ghosts? Like,
It's a purely sound element that like is in there just because I wanted it to be. It has no like influence on the game. But the story behind it is I was walking my dog one night, and I heard like this weird like electrical sort of sound that was like buzzing, and like I kept walking around trying to find out where it was coming from, and finally I sort of like narrowed in on where it was. My dog wasn't worried about it, but it it would like pulse for a bit and then it would stop, and then it would pulse for a bit and then it would stop, and I thought it was kind of going crazy. And then as I was getting closer, it sort of like pulsed faster and faster, and then when I just was about to find where it was, it stopped and no longer made any noise. And I was like, that was really weird and creepy. And then the next day I was working on the game. I was like, let's put that in the game. So I spent some time designing it, and it has a possibility of happening randomly when you're just sort of walking around. You might hear just sort of a weird sound, and if you are drawn towards it, it will behave in sort of the same way, where it will pulse slowly, and as you get closer, it'll pulse faster, and then when you get close enough to sort of figure out where it is, it just despawns completely.
It's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, everyone go look for them.
Energy goes.
Where were you when you were walking?
Just walking around the neighborhood of my old house.
I'll go look there.
I really like this sound as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, the smash.
Satisfying.
That was you, Jamie, right? You did the
yeah,
smash? Mhm.
just a ton of layering.
Sounds really cool.
Thank you.
I do remember you designing it, and from iteration to iteration, it was more
Yeah.
glass.
More glass, more glass, more glass. Yeah. Oh, there's a tunnel. That's cool.
Yeah. We're getting to the end. I don't know if we should go through. It is a story piece.
Oh.
I just wanted to show this. All these tunnels with this light. Sometimes we wanted to add like kind of like sound to the narrative, but would kind of like find sneaky ways to do it. So I wanted this wall to sound different as you approach it. It's a pretty big wall. Looks pretty significant. So we made, I don't remember who made it. Jamie, maybe?
I don't think so.
I remember I made tunnel light.
Okay. Xian made this.
Yeah.
And it's just this kind of like drone that plays
Right.
from quite far away. So this light isn't placed on many other lights,
Right.
only this tunnel, and it just gives it a sense of, I don't know, kind of like it's ominous as you get up close
Yeah.
to it.
I actually use M's recording the drone sound.
Nice.
Yeah, and then use for the layer, so sounds good.
I guess I should get the car. No, it's too far.
This is a question that I'm just coming up with now, but the designers, was there any sound that you collaborated with anybody on in a particular way that you thought ended up pretty good as a result of the collaboration?
I
Is that a
don't
weird
remember
question?
collaborating. Did we collaborate on anything?
These are dumb questions.
It was a good question, but I don't
Yeah,
think
it was
it
a good
happened.
No, but you collaborated with like the
Like
sounds.
exchanging
Yeah.
sessions?
Or at least like with the
I think with
sounds that you
Jamie I
already
did
made.
something.
I think
Oh,
there was a few
yeah,
instances
yeah,
where sounds were made
yeah.
and then needed to be adjusted, and a second
For you,
designer.
for you
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Oh, there was like when I was just brought onto the project, the whole so I worked on the impacts and collisions for like 2 months straight, and it was like this was like my first gig ever for sound design, and I was so confused, so I had to like had calls with Joey, and one day M had to come to the office and kind of like show me how like things worked and like how she would approach, and like that really helped me at the very beginning. So yeah, like large device impact sounds especially.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, so we spent like the whole day at the office, and then we sent it to Joey, and Joey was like, "Yes, you got it." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. Definitely, yeah, a lot of collaboration, like idea exchange, and like a lot of like brainstorming sessions with directors, both Joey and M.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Here's another special ambience and special reverb.
Ooh, big reverb.
The friendly dumpster was Connor, and I think Jamie worked on it initially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Connor came in afterwards.
Added the voice. I was actually
Did Nick work
my
on
way.
any?
Hmm?
I don't
At the
think so.
beginning, didn't Nick work on
Oh no, he
this?
did. Sorry, yeah. No, he did.
Oh.
I thought you were talking about technical,
Right?
but Nick did design. Yeah.
No, like design. Design.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, Nick did a bunch of design. When Connor sent we were trying to get the voice in, kind of like for an update or something, and I had left already to go somewhere for the weekend, so I was in my car, and I was listening. I really wanted to like get the sound in, so I don't usually do this, but I was like listening in Slack on my car speakers.
Wow.
And I gave like a revision like on my phone to that sound.
Oh, do we have any go-to synthesizer we used for the design work? I don't know if we're much synth people
Yeah.
for design. Maybe Connor?
Connor,
Yeah, I think
probably.
Connor does a bit. I think a lot of our synth stuff was probably from like drone libraries, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
That would probably have been our go-to, just for the sake of speed. In a lot of cases,
Yeah.
there's a lot of sounds to add, so fiddling around with the synth is fun. But if you're just looking for like a specific drone or something like that, it's a lot faster to go to something like a drone library and find something and tweak that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do a lot too. And like if I want more textures, then I just like pull out some delays and like crystallizer and reverb.
Yeah,
Like
I would say
Pick the pitch, yeah.
plugins are probably our jam.
Yeah.
Crystallizer is my top one, I think.
Yeah.
For me,
yeah.
it was Black Hole was like on everything that I did.
Mm.
Well, Valhalla,
Amelie, you
Valhalla
should make
Vintage Verb.
Yeah, vintage
Oh,
verb is
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
wanna? Maybe someone should explain what crystallizer is.
Oh.
So
really
crystallizer,
fun.
it like takes little grains from whatever you're inputting into it, and then like pitches them and delays them and stacks them up in like chord structures, and then like feeds itself back into itself.
Pitches them
Yeah,
up or down.
Mm-hmm.
it does a
Yeah,
lot.
it's awesome,
It's
yeah.
hard to explain.
It's really awesome.
It's hard to. You should play with it. And
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever, I've definitely played with the dial, like the wet dry dials a lot. But I think most of the playing that I do with it is just like swapping between all the different presets, and finding out what I think sounds good.
Wait. What? Is this the way? I just did the checklist.
Oh, M's lost.
Oh, this is the way.
Just a little bit.
4 Mile Stream is talking about the reverb. In terms of design, no, a lot. Like there's a fair amount of reverb on some of the things, but for the most part, we were designing them dry, and then the reverb itself is being handled in engine. So when you're inside a particular volume, it'll set the settings for that in-engine reverb, so that those dry sounds are then being affected.
Yeah, interesting. Any vintage audio gear used? Synths, filters, instruments?
Does a
Just
car
our
count?
voices.
Vintage car.
You
That's
call your
vintage
voice
enough.
vintage?
Yeah. My sick voice is definitely vintage.
It's got some character to it.
Alright.
Yeah, not really, not that I can think of. I used like a vintage like handheld radio and I recorded it, but not in processing.
Oh, Shan, I think your video is out. I just noticed.
Yeah.
I'll show a little bit of the swamp. Sort of cool ambiances and versus, yeah.
Hello, friend. Welcome to our side of the wall. Oh, what's this? Your connection's wobbly as jam? Worry not. Our signal is crystal clear.
A little bit obvious, don't you think?
Right, ask me if I can. Yeah, the mid-zone's been marinating in all this radiation for so long. Things don't work the same as they do in the outer zone. But the good news is, we live here. We can help you, no sweat.
First things first, we've got to extend the signal from the garage. Otherwise, Obby's equipment
Won't be much help. Hooking you into a mid-zone stabilizer should
Maybe
do
I
the trick.
will
Look around.
activate a stabilizer.
You should be able to
because
see
those
one
are
up a
pretty
hill
cool.
somewhere.
Leave it at that. Because we can't really hear the ambience because it's raining.
Yeah. I would say the video processing that Bryson did is so good. And like the transition between the car and the headset and the garage, yeah, really, really immersive.
Another sort of workflow question here coming from 4 Mile Stream. At what point are you creatively done with the sound? You mentioned before that time and technical overhead were constraining factors. As soon as the sound is serving its purpose, I would say, and communicating what it's intended to communicate. As a director, if I was given a sound that wasn't exactly what I was imagining, but it was working, I would at that point say, yes, that's good. Earlier on in development, I think we spent more time sort of like fine-tuning what that like good enough stage was, and the more and more that you sort of like work towards that aesthetic, the faster it becomes. I don't know, designers, is there sort of like a stage where you decide this is final, I'm done working on it?
When it sounds for you good, when it feels like it works, when you're happy with it. It's also like I give myself 30 minutes to design something, and then if I'm not happy, I just give myself 20 more minutes to do it, and then I just send it.
Whoa,
But if
that's so
I'm not-
cool.
If I'm not sure, then I just take a break and go back to it. Or just ask the directors
Mm-hmm.
if it's
Yeah,
good
I think-
enough or not.
Yeah, I think I relied on directors a lot. But like for me, before I send it off, I just listen to it over and over and over and over and over again, and like send them like when I don't really have any more ideas to add, and I'm like, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Like I don't have anything else to add, and then like send it off to the directors, and if I get a revision, then I'm like, whoa, this is a really cool idea, and then I work on it. Yeah, but basically my creative work is done when the director signs it off.
Yeah.
So pretty easy.
But
Yeah.
also, like,
Right.
4 Mile, you asked, like, what if you're not happy with it? I think part of the process is, like, working with your directors. So it's okay to send something if you're not happy with it, and, like, see if they give you inspiration or, like, ideas.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I've done it many times.
Yeah, me too.
What I always say is, like, never, if you're ever sending a sound to anyone, if it's your director or a developer, never say that you're not happy with it, and like see what the feedback is without any influence. Because even if you're not happy with something, it could still sound pretty good.
Right. And I get detail from the audio directing, so I can correct the sound like after asking to M and Joey.
And I don't think every sound has to be in the perfect state, because at the end of the day, it has to work in a big picture with other elements. I think that's a like special part in game development, because like our sound assets are not the complete product. It's just like a part of the big product. Yeah, a piece of the overall project. Exactly.
That's something that I found when I was reviewing some of a lot of these sounds. Is that if something was sent in without context, I would often ask, could you bounce this out in context so that I can hear it again? Because a lot of the times if you hear a sound completely naked, you're going to be like, no, that doesn't sound right.
Totally.
But if you hear it in the context of what it's supposed to be, then
I've
then
never
you
thought
say,
about
oh, that's
it
good.
as being naked.
Vulnerable, just by itself.
It's just a lonely little sound.
Yeah.
And it
Good
closes on.
sound.
Yeah.
Alright, let's listen to this stabilizer.
Okay, a stabilizer in section D is online. Coming through loud and clear. Hey, Francis, pan the car's broadcast frequency to the stabilizer, would you? Hey, come on, I can't do this without you.
Fine. There.
So
Your receiver's
something
hooked in now.
that we did
And we're
here is
patched into all that sweet Arc device data.
it really,
And I
if you're
swear,
within
Abby
proximity
won't
of
be
this,
able to
it
block us
mutes
out anymore.
the
Well, better get going.
ambience
Here
and
it
a lot of
comes.
stuff. Oh no, I had abandoned my car. Oh yeah, there's the fire thing. That's a good way to end, actually, on this escape. Oh, here, now you can hear the swamp ambiences. So Danny did a lot of these ambiences.
Yeah.
I did
Danny was a
some-
champion.
And I really liked the swamp.
Oh wow.
I wonder who's responsible for it.
Oh, it's okay.
There it
Where's
is.
the car? Oh.
It's the car.
Just leave my car on the side. Maybe it's a little far. Should I do it or should we just end the stream here?
Up to you.
Em.
You're
Up
the
to you,
driver.
Up to
Okay,
you.
let's I don't know. Yeah, it's oh, Iron
Chat says
They
go
say
for it.
Go for it. Do
Go
it.
for it.
All right. While we're driving through this
Go!
stressful storm, I'm gonna stir the pot. Was there ever a time when MRI gave you direction and you thought that's wrong?
Uh-oh. Yeah, precisely
Yeah.
about like 536 times. Yeah.
Just
Oh,
counting all the
Andreas
answers.
is back. Andreas is yes. What was your experience, Millie?
I don't remember what sound exactly, but it was like no. It wasn't like no, I'm not doing it. It was more like but like okay, you're right.
Yeah. Just kidding.
able to find the road.
What was yours, Jamie?
Oh no!
What happened? Wait, what?
You don't.
Just ran out of gas.
Whoa! What?
You better run.
You better run.
No, you need your car.
No, but then like, M has like no player damage and no car damage.
But no gas.
Oh.
I ran out of gas and battery, apparently.
It's just a cautionary tale. Don't do debugs, kids.
Okay. I think what I'm gonna do.
Can we turn everything on? Oh yeah, we can hear the
and then,
death.
oh yeah.
Can you die in the car?
Take me.
Bring it! Radiation!
The slowest death.
Just like slowly move ahead and
Countdown from 90.
I guess I could go looking.
What are you doing, Em?
I'm moving the car.
Are you walking while... You're walking while transporting your car?
She doesn't want to abandon the car.
You can drive! Oh, you can't!
Oh, fuel
Okay,
tank.
okay, my bad. Oh,
Fuel
whoa! How did you find that?
Oh, I left the car.
Yes, should be.
Yay!
Okay, now I actually feel
Siphon
my
the
heart
gas.
beating
What now?
and
Where is it?
Now that I've done no damage, I'm like getting all sweaty. And...
Oh.
That's all.
Oh, is that it?
That's all I got.
It's a little drops.
Make this count.
There goes your light.
It's very intense right now. Yes! Do it!
You won't hear the death sound.
Do we want to die instead? Although I
No.
think
you
No.
make it to the end, it just takes too long.
We'll make it. We'll make it there.
Oh, I love these guys.
Oh, I love them! Oh, I thought they were cut.
I don't know.
They're still there?
It's not a great time to get them. But
Yeah.
Actually, that might be one of my favorite songs. Okay.
That was almost entirely my voice with crystallizer and reverb. And some wet sounds.
Oh,
I
we
can't
did
believe you
kind
made
of.
it.
I know. I didn't think that was gonna be fun. Yay!
Yay!
Wow. Oppie was hiding a magic teleport.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you, 4 Mile, for all your good questions. We
Mhm.
did
And
use a Geiger.
Substatica and
Yeah.
Lucky people.
Yeah, you two were the VIPs. We did use a Geiger counter, like, not as obviously, like it's not 1-to-1. We designed it a bit to sound a little bit, I don't know, like zony, but it's there when you are taking radiation damage. Maybe.
We could have been beaming all over the zone this whole time?
Actually, no, that's fine. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we masked it a
Awesome.
little bit. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. This was super fun. And
Sure, if you reach out to us on Twitter with any more questions, somebody will get back to you.
yes.
Yay, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
And check out Pacific Drive if you haven't played it. It's great.
Yeah.
We really had so much fun working on it and have Ironwood to thank for that. So thanks for making this